episode of Masking and Bemoaning, where we talk about all things pop culture, focusing mostly on TV, movies, and the like. And we are actually going to do, the topic today is going to be about On My Block Season 2, Episode 2. We did Episode 1. Actually, I had filmed episode 2, but I told you it was longer than the actual episode, and we're going to try to keep it concise. And we're actually going to do a mask today. Yeah. Huzzah. And today we're going to be doing the Dr. Jarred water replenishing cotton sheet masks. This is what she looks like. So yeah, and I'm going to get into it. So I thought the way to kind of keep this concise, we're going to basically recount what happens and I'll give my thoughts. Alright, so what we picked up at the last, and I have mine to be a little extra. I got my little rose quartz roller, face roller thingamajig. Okay, so picking up where we left off, it is New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is when this takes place, because it picks up immediately after episode 1. And you know, they're all at Jamal's house to go see that he finally spread the news that he found the Roller World money, which I've always said I would have kept to who? Myself. Me, myself, and I, because you have the most unhelpful, ungrateful friends. And they all could use this money. Alright, but anywho, he went into his closet because that's where he hid it. And his mother had actually had given it away to the Goodwill to get her end of the year tax deductions. Okay. Woo! Okay. So, this is what you're gonna be looking at for about 15 minutes. Okay. So, of course, he doesn't know this. He's freaking out. He has bought himself a security system, which I do not blame him, which it seems like a very simple one, just something he can hook up to his phone, so it probably didn't cost too much. But he is in the hood with $250,000, and he is all a smooth 14 years old, our main for our 14 years old, so keep that in mind throughout this whole discussion. Okay, so he goes back and reviews it, and that's where he finds it. He walks in on his parents, and they basically have a conversation. From that point, they basically decide they're gonna have to go to the Goodwill boxes and go get the bag of money. They would have not gone through it because, again, it's a holiday, so Goodwill is more than likely closed on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And so they decided they're all gonna meet up in the morning and go. Cut to the morning, and of course, in Catholic fashion, Ruby's folks are going to mask on New Year's Day. Ruby said he's not gonna go because, of course, he's having a crisis of faith because he got shot and Olivia got killed. Her king said, yeah. Even though that seems to be something that's kind of par for the course for their neighborhood, which, you know, even though On the Block is a kind of a bright series, you still never forget just that how they really do live in the hood, how people really are gangbangers and not for fake. So, at least that's how they're portraying. But the good thing about this series is that it's not all doom and gloom like people tend to do with things set in the hood or with minorities. Everything is just an ongoing, you know, heavy Negro spiritual side, you know, but that's not it. So he said he's not gonna go. He tells his mom he's going to go meet up with the crew, and his mom was like, "Oh no, you don't. This is one of the best lines of the series. If you can't hang out with Jesus, you can't hang out with Jamal." But she's going, and he leaves her there with Amber, who is a white girl that his brother impregnated while he is in college. So everybody else is at church, and he's talking about his anger issues, and they try to work through it, even though Amber would only be like, what, 19? If her and Mario are freshmen, or just coming out their freshman year, they're like 19, 20. So I'm leaning more towards 19 because she's had like Psych 101 and thought he was going to talk him through his anger. He's through the anger phase. So, but he's tired of her. She's annoying, but she made some good points. She just kind of oversteps her bounds in a way that's comical. It did not really bother me the way it bothered some other people, but that's what she's there for. Okay, so he decides he's going to get out And while he gets out, he has to pass by because, again, the core four are all neighbors. They all went to the same, I guess it started from kindergarten, because yeah, they did bring it up in the first season that Caesar remembers Ruby from kindergarten, crying on the first day of kindergarten. So he passes by and try to keep his head down because, you know, Spooky is in the front yard on his crates and seats. The yard with no grass because there's always someone on the yard. It has, you know, so that's where the Santos, which is the Mexican gang in this series, there's the Mexican gang and the black gang. We'll get into that later on. We're gonna talk about some of them. Maybe they will touch on this in the third season. I hope they do, about the racial components that they're not really tapping on. It's just like, oh, we do get to see some humanization of the Santos, but we don't see any of that for the Prophets. And I feel a way about that. And they have a black writer. I think he used to be in the gang life, but okay, but that's not that. And we see that there are other black kids. It's like everyone black wouldn't be a prophet, but it would be nice to see, you know, the prophet side, because even with the prophets, like everyone in this neighborhood, yeah, because it's still a neighborhood, even where the black people live on the other side of Free Ridge, that it can't be more than a few streets over because everybody went to the same school and played ball and all this kind of stuff together. So everyone knows each other, just like they knew what's his name, Latrell, who is the same age as them, but he's the one that shoots and kills Olivia. Sorry, spoiler alert, at the end of last season. End of the first season, excuse me. I'm gonna let you get confused because they are actually currently shooting the third season right now. It did get renewed, it did get picked up. It's the word on the curb is that it is only 8 episodes, which I feel away because these episodes are only 30 minutes long and they don't have commercials, so it's probably like 25 minutes long. And they ended up getting more money. So, but you know how they do, like, I don't want to be on no conspiracy nothing, but you know how they do the black and brown and I'll just say the ethnic shows of Netflix. No matter how popular they are, they don't put in the same money and resources that they do for a lot of the white shows, because their argument is that they thought that they should be getting paid comparable to the cast of 13 Reasons Why. Because for one, they don't have the same budget and they are bringing in more numbers than 13 Reasons Why. Which I will always go back and say is that 13 Reasons Why should have only been 1 season. So I don't know if this is going to be their last season. I hope it is not. Even though we'll go back to Spooky because it's mainly a Spooky and Ruby centric. Well, yeah, that's the other half of this episode, spend a good amount of time together. That Julio Macias, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the guy that plays Spooky, he got up to a series regular. So yeah, so that's going to be interesting. So I was like, well, I wonder, did he also get a pay raise with everyone else? And we'll actually see more of Spooky, because I do like that besides Spooky being fine, okay, that he has more than one side. They gave him some layers. It didn't look like they was gonna do that if you judged him from just the first episode. I mean, like season 1, episode 1, when he first got out of jail. And it's just like, you know, why is this nigga named Spooky? And then it's just like, you know, we see some of that. He's just not, you know, gang bang, gang all the way. I mean, he is that, and, you know, people don't mess with him, but he cares about his hood and about his family, even in his own messed up way. But there's certain things I don't feel like he's going to do, because he's already got 2 strikes. And Spooky, according to Julio, I won't try to say his last name and butcher it no more, is that he is 24 years old. He's already got 2 strikes. Even though, you know, he kicked Caesar out the house, he still got his brother to raise, who he is over 10 years, yeah, he's 10 years older than his brother, so he had been raising his brother. Not really able to be a kid between having to raise this other baby because your mom was on drugs, basically, and your dad was never around. I'm assuming dad is in jail too because all the males in their families have been Santos, the Saints gang. So, you know, and if you ganging and banging, you generally don't live too long. So he's either dead or he's in jail. And that's a lot to put on someone. We do see it now with Caesar. Because Caesar is on the outs because Caesar did not kill Latrell. And that had repercussions. So that is why, and Caesar, and Oscar Spooky had to kick Caesar out the house and basically just don't have anything to do with him, because I believe that was the other option probably would have been to kill him, and I don't see him wanting to kill. He didn't. I feel like he didn't even want to kick him out the house, his 14-year-old little brother, and because he basically didn't take care of it. So here we are. So because Ruby, going back to Ruby and Spooky and how they end up spending the day together, because Ruby is en route to go help Jamal, Nonce, and Caesar get the money out of the donation box before they come to sort through them. That he, you know, gets his little spilled, and then, you know, he doesn't snap on him the way he could have. You know, he didn't live up to his spooky name. Even though it's clear throughout the season, you'll see that not only he doesn't really, Spooky really kind of protects them from everything that could be happening to all of them, because all them 4 kids got smart mouths, but everyone, he knows these kids, you know, that's who his brother runs around with, and he's clearly friends with. At some point, I would like that exploration to be in the next season about Mario and Oscar. They're clearly friends. You see that later on. So that's why he kind of protects Ruby and doesn't just snap at Ruby. He just is very understanding. He's like, I see you going through the anger stage when he goes to snap. And he ends up not going to go with Monse, Jamal, and Caesar, who end up getting picked up by the cops because they are arguing after they find the bag of money, and they're arguing on the street. And the same cop that picked up Caesar in the first season, that did not arrest him, but, you know, gave him some advice, and they turn around and do the same thing for him. Let me just skip over to that because that is the least interesting part of the episode. That they get picked up by the cop. They are going through the bins. Monse, Caesar, and Caesar was supposed to help prop Jamal to be in there and get in and wash his stuff. Because, of course, you know, he got a little bit of money. He spent a little bit of the money. He bought him some limited edition sneakers, which, of course, somebody came and took because they were not watching his stuff, and they complained the whole time. Them complaining and walking. And somehow in the process, Jamal loses his pants. Him complaining and walking, going to go back. He has no pants, no shoes. He's wearing Monse's little sweatshirt as a bottom. But they had like one task to help him, and they didn't. But that's just another symptom of their friendship. I always say that Jamal needs him some more friends. He needs him some other friends besides them, because they suck. And that's like, he's so interesting, but like between Jamal and Ruby are my favorite of the 4 group, because Jamal is funny, and he's kind of oddball, but he is the one who basically set up this whole Goonies-esque situation and finding treasure and all that kind of stuff, and he did it. And you really see that with black and brown kids. They even make a joke about it in the first season, and he does. And his other friend, but I think the reason why I cannot enjoy Caesar and Monse enough is because they're too much on each other. Everything that Monse is doing is like she's concerned with Caesar. Caesar has got all his gang stuff, and then you want everybody else in the group to be just as concerned as you're concerned because that's your boyfriend. And it's just like, girl, we're doing what we can. You know, I still would have felt the way after she snapped. If I was Jamal, if she snapped at me in church, you know, I still wouldn't be, but I'd be holding a grudge. Your girl is a Taurus, and we can. And but I would have felt the way, and it's like, we doing all this trying to help Caesar out, and they do rally around Caesar this whole season, but like, between the both of them, like, he's ungrateful, and I know it's hard for him because I keep trying to tell myself, even though they are grown, everybody in this show is grown in real life, but they are children on this show. So it's like he's ungrateful, everyone's ungrateful, and I think that all of them could do to make a different set of friends. Not that they need to stop being friends, but you can't see that as, you know, just freshmen in high school. Sometimes it's too much togetherness, and it's always been y'all four since like kindergarten. Like, break that up, get into something else. Like, that's what I would like to see happen in the next season. Get into some different clubs. Meet some more friends. I actually like the dynamic of Ruby and Jasmine this season. Want to see more of that. But she's still kind of that core four. Like, they decided that she's annoying. I'm like, but she's just like the rest of y'all. Y'all are goofy too. So, but anywho, this whole time all that being said, they get picked up by the cops to go to the station. Who is there is Jasmine. Jasmine is working in the Police Explorer program. And, you know, this whole section is unrealistic because you can't hold them because you are not picking, they didn't do anything illegal. You picked them up, you did not say anything about a lawyer, you did not call their parents. They are minors, you cannot hold them there. This was just to get that police officer back in the scene. There is an underlying cut of police propaganda because, like, he's a good cop. But, and we don't see any dirty cops in there. So I'm saying, you want me to believe in this, and they live in, South Central LA, pretty much. Cause yeah, not South Central, but it's a made up neighborhood, obviously. But it's South Central-esque, LA. And you are this working class, lower class, black and brown neighborhood, and all these cops are nice to you, and then I'm like, that's not realistic. And like, she's trying to be a police officer. I don't see it. That's the most unrealistic thing of it. But I don't want to see police brutality either. So, you know, that's that. But anywho, that's basically what happens with them, and they end up getting the money back after a series of things because he really basically can't hold them, and he's hungover. The police officer is hungover and has his own issues, and he didn't need to be at work that day, no way. But again, it's New Year's Day, so maybe he got twisted on New Year's Eve and came in to work. Okay, but cut back to, I guess, Oscar and Ruby's, you know, excellent adventure. That Oscar basically takes him around for the rest of the day, so he never makes it out to the rest of the crew, even though Caesar calls him and tells him Ruby does not tell him that he's with his brother, that when they get picked up and go to jail, he tells Ruby just not to come because you don't need to be locked up as well. So we're going around, and they have basically Ruby and Spooky have basically the clean for a day situation. That's where anybody can ask you anything, and ask you to do anything or say anything without any repercussions. And we see that happen. And Ruby is still angry. You know, he is still, you know, still feels a way about Oscar. It's like, it's not even, it's somewhere he still like fears him or whatever, because, you know, he got a teardrop tattoo. Like, Oscar done call at least a body, you know. So it's nothing to you know, shake your head at, even though I think he's not just some mindless goon. So we don't know the circumstances of any of it, but you know that the Santos, as a gang, they're involved in criminal behavior. But you know, he's also seen him probably even before he became a full-blown Santos, because again, Oscar is basically from the time when he wasn't in jail, but from like, since he's 10 years older, and his, you know, and their parents are out in the wind, has taken care of them. So, and this has always been who Caesar was with, that group of four. So, you know, he asked it, and then we get a little history according to Oscar of what we hear about the Santos gangs that little Ricky had started, because, you know, the prophets were terrorizing the neighborhood. So he did that, that they didn't care about who they was getting, you know, people coming out of church, people going to the market, this, that, and the third. And then little Ricky said no, and that's how we decided that we was gonna be like this. And then so Ruby's like, so it's two gangs terrorizing the neighborhood, which, you know, and of this, I'm not going to say that this still goes back to the racial component to me. I'm not going to say that Oscar is wrong, but I don't think that's the complete truth either, because we gotta remember Oscar is also still just 24. So, and we hear later on in the season from one of the OGs that, well, you know, Santos will not start out as a violent gang because little Ricky didn't like violence. So you know how people's legend comes and turns and they become something else, because like Oscar's still a young dude. So his version of the events, or what he has been told, or what has been passed down to him, it will be what he knew. I'm about to think it's about time to take this off. It's been almost 20 minutes. Woo! Let me keep on talking. And you know, he stays with him through the night. Why I say that like a Heat the Night song, but ooh, yes, that's nice. I'll just yeah. I probably use it 2 times, but that's gross because it's cotton. Okay, so I just use the little essence on my face. But yeah, he stays with him through the night, and we get more of them just talking, playing off of each other. So we see a little insight to both of them. But I would be interested to hear the prophet side of that story, because we also know that Monte's, we don't know this episode, but we find out later on, like, Monte's dad, and I'm assuming even Jamal's father, grew up with the prophets, because it's highly unlikely that even if we don't mess with each other, I'm just telling you, this is another black who, I didn't live in necessarily a straight up black neighborhood, but my grandmama did. So we used to stay with her a lot. So it's just like, even if you don't mess with all the black people, because why would you? Personalities and different things, that doesn't change just because we're all the same race. We're not a monolith. And likewise for any other race of people, that one race of people would just mess with each other. We would know each other. But that does not mean we all are gang affiliate, because it's just like, well, if that's going to be the caveat, then everyone would be gang affiliate in this series in some way. Besides, like, you know, like Caesar and Oscar are the extreme, because that's direct affiliation, because Oscar is the leader of this branch of Santos. But that's just like, even Ruby would be considered to be affiliate, because if you make that other connection, because it's not a big neighborhood and it's not a ton of people. You've always known these people. Like, your grandmamas went to church together. Y'all probably went to church together. Y'all play ball together, something like that. So everyone knows each other, but it doesn't necessarily make you gang affiliate. I think that was So I'll be interested to hear the profit side of that, because to me there's no way that, because it's odd that, well, but again, Jamal don't really have no other black friends, and neither does Monse. Even though she's half Mexican, her mom left her, so she's raised black. So her black daddy's the one that's taking care of her, and his dad was a prophet, so he knows them, but he brings it up later on is that everything changed when crack came in. So, and that's a little bit of real history tied into this, so I would be interested with that. That's probably what had happened even on the Santos side. Cause I'm assuming that Spooky and Caesar's mama was on crack too, because that would be the most accessible. And we do see some various other behavior, because it does seem like when you get further into the season, what started their warfare really is to do with money. And no one in this neighborhood has a lot of money. So people start using different things, their whole life savings, like somebody knocks off the credit union or wherever that they were, and that a group of Santos do. So, and that comes up. So that's going to be an ongoing issue, because I can't be like, well, you know, that this is what bothers me. You can't act like the black gang is just also like just violent brown black buffoons that all they know is that. And that's kind of the only side that you see of the prophets, is what bothers me. It's like, but when you kind of break it down and they start talking about that money, I'm like, no, because even the roller world money, as it turns out, that is where the Santos roller world was a skating ring. They don't really have skating rings too much anymore. It was a good time, but they had charged people for a Shalimar concert, and they had overcharged them, and they took the money, and that's what the roller world money is. Okay, that's a legal front. So that's where, for all their other gang activities, roller world, that skating ring is where they will go to wash their money. So we do see more about throughout the whole season, because again, they're 14 years old with all this money, and it's old money, so you need to get new bills. That's another ongoing thing that they work with this whole season. So yeah, so like the crux of it is money. So I can't even be like, that's what I want to see in the next season. It's not necessarily, I was like, because I don't think either one of you guys are, because I think Ruby was right. It's like, it's two gangs terrorizing the neighborhood because y'all are fighting, and everybody else is getting caught in the crosshair. Because it's a small area, there's only so much to go around. Nobody has a lot of money, and so when we do, or I feel like you, my neighbor, my friend, have cheated me out of my money, that's going to come and cause problems. And you know, when you start messing with people's money, people get violent. So that's the true origin. I don't think, that's why I said what Spooky said is somewhere in the middle, and maybe he does not, because again, he is also a young man. He's not as young as the four main characters who are 14, 15 again, but he would only know so much as well. Like, we do know that he answers to some other people, the Conchillas, and cause Ruby was like, well, y'all concerned about family, but you kicked your brother out, and he was like, that was not his call. And Cochillas did that, and then, you know, Ruby's like, well, Cochillas can suck a dick. Can suck a blick. So, but I mean, and that's all well and good, but he does leading back to later on in the night where they are grilling and cooking, because again, we do know, not again, I didn't bring it up, but like last season, we do know that before Spooky got into that life, he wanted to be a chef. Or at least he wanted to go to culinary school, wherever that would take him. So he still cooks, and he's out there grilling. He's grilling octopus, actually. That's what it looks like. And he tells him, you know, expand your palate, homie. But that's beside the point, is that he does tell Ruby that he just basically tells him that he's an ingrate. Ruby was not supposed to go out. Ruby, not only did he go out, he is now with the gang leader. You know, and which, I mean, you know, again, Oscar, I wouldn't see Oscar doing nothing to Ruby, because he's friends with Mario, and Ruby ain't did nothing for real. You know, they have not crossed too many lines. He has a lot of patience with them, even though he kind of snapped on Ruby in a way that Ruby needed to be snapped on. Then he did tell him he was an ingrate, is that because his mom does call him, because obviously she's worried, and you know, Ruby, you just got shot like a month ago. So this is your first couple days home from the hospital. Yeah, so, and he's like, you know, you just being ungrateful. You know, so he was like, well, I sleep with bars on my window. He was like, yep, but you got a 2-parent household, you got somebody that cares about you, and you're on your way to college. And you got you ungrateful to your mom. At least you got somebody looking out for you that cares about you. Who you think looked out and took care of us when you know their mama was out, when his mom was out there. So he's always kind of trying to handle it. And you know, he was like, and why you think didn't nobody come and finish the job? You so ungrateful. Why you think didn't nobody come to finish you off? Because, you know, usually, you know, when you come to kill one person, that they don't stop to, because, you know, like, Olivia was collateral damage. But, you know, that's when people come to shoot, like, even Latrell, as irresponsible as that was, he was coming to get one person. He did not come to shoot up the whole party, which he could have done, which is usually how it goes, and they can't use any reconnaissance because, you know, even Ruby would be, you know, on the chopping block because you've seen Latrell's face. Y'all know it was Latrell, so we gotta, you know, get everybody up out here. And so basically we do learn that it is Spooky who calls the truth after he gets killed, after Ruby gets shot and Olivia gets killed at our quinceañera. So, you know, and we also see another insight about, we see a little insight about the prison industrial complex. You weren't waiting for that. And then, talking about how, you know, I get that you're mad, but you need to be a little, grateful. Do you know how hard it is to go straight? You know, he can't even apply to Walmart with a record. You know, it's like, cause you know, if you're on he's got 2 felonies and you're 24 years old. So, and you can't just walk in, you're tatted, but not like but even if he didn't have tattoos, again, you got 2 felonies. There's nothing he can do about that, at this point. So it's like, you don't want him to have to go the straight. The system is not set up for anyone to stay on the straight and narrow. It's set up for you to go back to prison. So, and he's like, and that's the kind of thing that can make you snap or can drive you crazy. But if he says something, then I think not only was he preaching to Ruby, he was preaching to himself and really to us. But you being angry is not gonna change. You being mad at the world is not gonna change anything. So you know, figure out that does give Ruby, you know, something to chew on. And you know, but it's honestly, he stays with Oscar the whole day. So I do like seeing that other side of him. And people's like, well, still, you kicked your brother. I was like, well, obviously, I believe the other option is death. And so, you know, because there's like, people's like, I don't know too much about gangs, but I know when you got a job to do, if you don't do it, a lot of times, you know, you out of here too, along with the person you were supposed to take care of. That's just gang life. And Caesar was always afraid of his brother, so he didn't even stand up to say like, no, I don't want to do this. So I believe he would have been a little bit more forthcoming. They probably could have figured out a way. because, you know, that's all they know. Both of them, honestly, is ganging and banging. So I'm wondering how many of them actually graduated high school, which, I mean, I guess, you know, Spooky probably can get his GED in prison. You can. So that's beside the point. They ain't got nothing to do with the rest of what happened. And then he goes on, he goes back to have his conversation with his mom, and he goes back with his mom, and she doesn't snap on him or anything, but she was like, she understands him having a crisis of faith, and she didn't start to have faith until she had kids, and she was, you know, and they have just a cute little moment, and he tells his mom also in this whole time is that, you know, you kind of need to chill with Amber too, because, you know, whether you like it or not, the baby is coming, and she's going to be a part of the family because of that baby. And that is where that is not where we end, because after Jamal does make it back home, and when he gets home, the football coach is sitting at the table, and this little exchange is funny because he was like, don't tell me you guys are coming out as a throuple. But I was wondering, even watching the first season, the way he was digging up the football field, I was like, ain't nobody see this? There were no cameras, and you know how much it costs to kind of do those. And yes, he's all on camera digging. They got him on every angle, digging up something from it. And of course, he does not confess what he dug up, but he was just like, oh no. So basically, he's in debt to the football coach. And the only reason they made a deal because the football coach and his parents have been friends. Again, that's going back to all black. So that's the black connection. So I want to see more of that. I know this is not a show primarily about black people, but it's enough black people in here that, you know, we need to maybe explore some of those race relations and give them some more depth. Like it's seeming very one-sided, and it's still making me, there's a few things, it's like, I know they're not trying to do it, but this is where you would be dropping the ball. It can get very sticky. It's basically between the two gangs. So it's like we're humanizing one, the Latinos, specifically Mexican, and nobody is darker than a paper bag. There are black Mexicans, so that would be an interesting bridge right there. Because what if you have someone who is black and Mexican, but they don't necessarily mess with the Santos because they are black, so, and they don't necessarily feel at home with the Prophets because while they are black, they are Hispanic. So that would be an interesting bridge to link that together, even though they don't need to even go that route, because it's still like these black and brown people, they all live in the same neighborhood and they know each other, intermarried, having friends, all this kind of stuff. So that's something that needs to be addressed. This is one of my favorite episodes, but that's just because you get some depth in some characters you necessarily didn't get that in, namely in Spooky and Ruby. Ruby knocks it out the park this season, because he's basically going through PTSD, and that's explored how, you know, my baby does not need just straight up church, but Ruby needs to go to therapy. He needs a therapist, and it comes up again. We'll see. All right, so I have still probably exceeded the length of the actual episode, giving my thoughts. It was good. I will try to come back very soon to give you, my face feels very nice from my mask. It's again the Dr. Jart water replenishing mask. It came in a book. I don't know how much it costs individually, probably like $8. No Dr. Jart, so it's maybe like $13, but it was not that much. Again, I got it as a Christmas gift and a book of masks. So yeah, I rambled enough. Tell me what you guys think. Have y'all liked this season thus far? I'll try to be back very soon with the third episode. I was not in a rush because it's on Netflix, and stuff on Netflix lives on Netflix. So as long as I get this done before the next season comes out, I'll try to get them done within the next kind of couple of going through a few episodes a month. So there's 10 we've done. This will be of the 2. So we got 8 more to go. All right. Chatty enough. All right. You have a good, blessed day, guys. Remember that Nessie loves you. Bye.